thank you for joining us on this very hot day, where we will be speaking about where we are currently at on the addressable TV journey. My name is Paul Gubbins. I work for a global CTV ad server called Publica. We help streaming publishers and smart TV manufacturers to create seamless ad breaks, so TV viewers aren't bombarded with the same ads back to back. But enough about me. Welcome, panelists. Andy, I think we'll start with you. Brief intros, who you are, where you work.
Hi everyone, Andy Jones. I head up the sales team at Samsung Ads. So the fortunate thing about Samsung, I don't need to introduce who we are as a brand, but I want to communicate a little bit about what we do and why we've created a media division off the back of it. So I head up the sales team. I focus on agencies and advertisers and generate revenue.
Hi everyone, I'm Jen Antonio. I've just got a job promotion to the SVP of EMEA. I'm actually a director of CTV. So I work on the supply side and I work with publishers and broadcasters across EMEA to really help work on growing their revenue and working strategically across those accounts to help build more revenue, build relationships, and make more money.
Thank you. And to the gentleman in the shorts, I'm very jealous and envious of those shorts.
Thanks, Paul. I took a look at the social feeds this morning, and there was some pretty loose attire, and I thought I'd come in that vein. And I think I might be the most comfortable attendee at the session at this point, in this very humid ceiling loft that we're in. So I'm Rhys McLachlan. I'm the Director of Advanced Advertising at ITV. I'm responsible for the development of our progressive advertising products, those that are built on the intersection of technology, data, and the content that we distribute primarily digitally, but increasingly across our linear outlets as well. In addition to which, I'm one of the architects of Ad Labs, which is the initiative that we launched in October of last year, which was where we're really starting to innovate and experiment with much more agile-based advertising innovations that we are piloting in market right now.
Excellent, thank you very much all. So Rhys, the first question goes to you. You work at ITV, one of the biggest commercial broadcasters in the European market. There's been lots of discussions recently about how programmatic technology is helping to monetize TV ad breaks. What role is programmatic tech playing for an organisation like ITV at the moment?
So we're all in. We're 100% all in on programmatic. If you are a customer, an advertiser, an agency looking to purchase digital inventory from ITV, then your only route to execute that is through our proprietarily owned programmatic platform, Planet V. It's what we launched in the market in October of 2020. Now 18 plus months in, we've got 1,500 monthly active users across all the major agency holding companies, all the independents, all the regionals, all the client direct activity, and we've completely normalized the self-service platform for the execution, for the planning, for the buying, for the reporting, and the analytics on the entirety of our digital estate. So we are all in on programmatic.
Wow, that's fantastic. And Andy, you work at Samsung. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe Samsung is one of the most widely sold television sets globally when it comes to connected TVs. What role are TV manufacturers now playing in the growing addressable TV advertising market?
The thing I love about this space the most is that when we talk about TV, you automatically think about the broadcasters, and now in this connected space, you start thinking about the apps that are in that space. Very, very few people up until this point have actually taken a bit of a step back and actually, what are we actually watching? Who's making the glass? For the very first time, the manufacturer has got a role to play in this space. Everyone is a competitor, but also a partner. So for the likes of ITV, they're a very, very important strategic partner for us. So we, as the TV set, are their distribution platform. So if they didn't have the ITV hub on our TVs, the reach and the scale of their service would be diminished. And likewise, if we didn't have their app on our TVs, we wouldn't sell as many. So there is one part of the proportion is what do we do as a manufacturer? Well, we have to make TVs that consumers want. We are a consumer manufacturer first and foremost. So we not only make beautiful machines, we also help with the discovery of content. We are recommending content, we're recommending apps to engage with. And because we have that real estate, we're actually serving ads on that home screen. But they're not ads that interrupt the viewing experience, they're there to complement the viewing experience. So big advertisers like Amazon, Apple, Disney, DAZN, and ITV, they're spending money with us to promote their services and their content. So that's a really important part of our business. But we're also, as a manufacturer, we're creating a way, we're licensing content. So we've created our own TV channel, which is called Samsung TV Plus. And that's offering free TV for everyone who buys our TV. And that is a very easily engageable app. And we've got over 130 channels, a couple of which are ITV studio channels. And then we serve ads programmatically within that content. So, like I say, I love this space because we have a very, very different role to play. Being the manufacturer, we are in a unique position to have data and also real estate to help advertising.
Excellent, thank you for that, Andy. And so you both touched upon the importance of programmatic technology in the future of TV advertising. Jen, I'd like to turn to you. You work at Magnite, probably one of the biggest programmatic sell-side platforms in the marketplace at the moment. You see a lot of advertiser demand. Increasingly, a lot of that now is CTV based. However, what types of advertisers are now moving into addressable TV? Would the audience be right to assume it's traditional TV advertisers, or are there a new type of advertiser coming to the big screen in the family living room for the very first time?
Yeah, so it's an interesting one. We see advertisers, big major brands, and we also see much smaller brands, and they cut across a number of different verticals. So, you have the likes of the big tech advertisers, the likes of Adele, a Microsoft, Intel, PayPal, even Dyson. They have big budgets and they're very comfortable spending in this CTV environment. And, they naturally have an affinity with those sort of tech-savvy audiences. They've got digital products they want to shift, and they know that they can reach those audiences in a CTV environment. So we're seeing a lot of big budgets come from them. But likewise, you've got household names, the likes of a Heineken, where they're very comfortable buying in that CTV space as well. We recently just released a case study, a brand uplift study with Heineken. So they really understand the power of CTV. And then you've got the smaller brands and some of the D2C brands, actually, which is a really exciting space to see them kind of move into this space and be comfortable to buy across CTV. CTV offers a lot of flexibility and the ability to be able to track, the ability to be able to kind of measure and optimize on the fly. So yes, it's a broad range of advertisers.
Okay, thank you for that. And you touched upon measurement there, right? If you're following the CTV journey at the moment, there's no escaping the debate around measurement. Everything you read seems to center around the ability for marketeers to get that holistic view of their user as they move between broadcast linear and their BVOD services, but more increasingly across AVOD, be it from platforms like Samsung or the growing fast channels. So, Rhys, I'd like to turn to you because obviously you're quite an authoritative voice in this space. Again, and you can be because of where you work, ITV. Where do you guys see the TV measurement debate at the moment, and what is actually really possible to a marketeer in this room today thinking about increasing their ad spend in addressable TV environments?
Okay, so we're obviously all in on C-Flight. Yep. We're in alignment with Sky and Channel 4 that's the most accurate and the most appropriate methodology to measure holistic reach and frequency across both linear and the appropriate CTV environments. We have some challenges with Origin. There's a long-running, ongoing dispute between the broadcasters and the other stakeholders via RISBA around Origin and whether or not the processes, the protocols for the measurement are entirely appropriate. The analogy being that we all know that tomatoes are fruit, right? But we don't necessarily want it in our fruit salad.
Yeah.
Right, and so the challenge we have for some of the digital businesses that are driving the agenda at Origin is they're insisting that the tomato goes in the fruit salad. Okay. And TV measurement for a long period of time has operated at a certain threshold, which we think is important to maintain.
Yeah.
I don't think it's necessarily in everybody's interest to democratise the floor if we're not trying to achieve or maintain ceiling standards.
Okay, that's interesting.
But then it's not just about those kind of conventional metrics, reach and frequency. You know, that were the stalwarts of media planning for so long. This is 2022. We're really trying to move the game on, and increasingly, it's not just about measuring what counts. You know, it's all about counting what you can measure. I think I've done that completely arse about face, haven't I? It's the other way around. Like, what's important, right? What's important in a world where increasingly the consumption is over IP, and you're able to track, you know, create the thread between exposure all the way through to outcome. Actual outcome is measuring business outcomes. So developing proxies using C-Flight or Origin or other methodologies to do your reach and frequency, your hygiene is all good and well. Yeah. But we are massively focused on delivering an outcomes-based model that enable us to do full closed-loop attribution and understand empirically the impact that television advertising is having, CTV and linear, on business outcomes.
Okay. So would you, if you look at traditionally, TV has been measured around panel-based measurement, but there's an argument at the moment as more and more viewers engage with streaming content that it should migrate to an impression-based mechanism for monitoring user behaviour. Would you agree that it's a combination of both, or do you think it's one or the other? Okay.
It has to be hybrid.
Okay.
Yeah, cool. and I think increasingly within that, a one-size-fits-all approach is not going to be fit for purpose.
Yeah, okay. Makes sense. Andy, again, lots of people are talking about ACR at the moment. I believe it stands for Automatic Content Recognition. What does it actually mean, and how is ACR data being used to enable marketeers and their agencies quantify measurement in their CTV ad buyers?
Has everyone heard of ACR? I mean, how knowledgeable are we? Okay, so automatic content recognition. By the way, I completely agree with the previous answer. It's not an either or. So we've got a very, very robust, deterministic first-party data set that gives us an holistic view of how the TV is being used. Do we want to suddenly become the currency that all TV is traded off? Of course not. What we want to do is bring our data set to the market to show how it can complement existing data sets. So ACR, as Paul said, everyone's talking about it. So what does that actually mean? The best way to describe this is it works in a very similar way to Shazam. So Shazam, as miraculous that is, it takes a bit of audio, sends it off into a server, and a match is done. And that matches the bit of audio to the song. We do something very, very similar on all of our TVs. So the picture on the screen, every half a second, that picture is fired off into a server, and a match is done to known content. And that's the important thing, known content. So we can, every half second on all of our TVs, we can identify the linear program that's being watched, the ad that's being shown, the game that's being played, and also the streaming app that's been opened. So we're not creating a panel. So we've got around about 8 million TVs in the UK, and we've got over 50 million across Europe, that we're getting all of this sort of really robust deterministic data. So they're either playing that game of Call of Duty, or they are watching that app, or they've seen that ad. And we're using this data to deliver addressable campaigns. And one of the most popular way that we work with advertisers, and that might be the broadcasters as well, is serving the ad that we know has or has not been shown on any linear channel, and serving that ad to deliver incremental reach. So it's as you know, budgets are getting more and more constrained, inflation is hitting. How do we give a very cost-effective way to efficiently reach new audiences? And we can say that using that data. That's ACR, Automatic Content Recognition.
Excellent. Thank you for that, Andy. And Jen, so we've touched upon some of the user behaviours, the way that data is informing marketers now when it comes to measurement. What about scale and some of the new services that are currently launching in Europe? Because again, lots of marketers might be saying, well, I'm hearing about new AVOD apps, free streaming services launching from the US into the UK or France and Germany. In your opinion, and some of the publishers that you work with, would you feel that there's now enough scale to support programmatic CTV buying in the UK market?
Yeah, absolutely. I think scale is no longer an issue as it once was.
Good.
And again, from Magnite's perspective, we have a pretty good view, a pretty holistic view over, a lot of media owners, publishers, and that scale is continuing to grow and grow. A lot of publishers have worked very hard over the last couple of years to really build out their content, and that's continuing to grow. And then, we have also new players in the space, the likes of Warner Brothers Discovery. They launched in March. Finally, and their supply just skyrocketed, and that continues to grow. So we have existing supply that's growing, but also we have new supply that's growing.
Okay, fantastic.
And then just to add to that, actually, Magnite, we run multi-publisher deals, so a number of publishers fall into one deal ID, and that also helps buyers with more scale as well. So.
Okay, so there is a mix of inventory in the UK market when it comes to CTV. You've got broadcaster BVOD, you've got AVOD potentially from somebody like Samsung and others. There's the fast and AVOD that's available programmatically within the big exchanges and SSPs like Magnite. Rhys, very quickly, can I please ask you to explain to the audience what type of data points can a programmatic advertiser now target within a TV ad break?
For ITV?
Correct.
Yes. So obviously wouldn't claim to be able to speak on behalf of Sky and Channel 4, but I think it's vaguely consistent. So we have 35 million registered users. We gathered 6 data points from each of those users through all the correct consent framework and with the full utility around that to utilize that for advertising. You get email address, gender, postcode, date of birth, and 2 other points which elude me right now. So we have that as our seed, if you like, the Rosetta Stone around which we build profiles and characteristics. We augment that using the email address as the cipher with data that we get, or we have relationships with MasterCard, Experian, and YouGov, so we can build out a big set of behavioural characteristics. And then with our relationship with InfoSum, we're enabling through the clean rooms facility advertisers to bring their first-party data sets to match to ours to create custom segments that can be targeted and activated within Planet V. Just using the ITV native data, our first-party data, that's 20,000 targeting segments that you can light up in Planet V effective immediately.
That's amazing.
Yeah, but we're very excited about bringing C-Flight on. So when C-Flight gets to the stage of its evolution, its maturity, that it's got enough granularity in it, being able to plan and activate against the C-Flight information. And then I think the ACR stuff that Samsung and the other businesses are developing is going to be game-changing. And I think we're just right at the very beginning of that. What we need is the Samsungs and the LGs and the Sonys and the Panasonics of this world to harmonize on taxonomy and methodology so we've got a consistent data set. But the real Rosetta Stone, I think moving forward for CTV, is what's happening at that glass level, like the insight, which I think that's nuclear stuff, that's turbo.
Yeah, could not agree more. So when you touch upon all of those data points that are now available in TV for the very first time, Jen, I know you touched upon the different types of advertisers that are that are currently entering addressable TV. Rhys, I've heard you speak before about how television may start to disrupt the social platforms, smaller local advertisers, because those barriers that once existed to brands to get their ads on the big screen in the family living room are slowly being removed due to the democratization of TV advertising, and that's driven by technology and data. Would you agree that TV is going to grow their share of advertising budgets from social platforms?
That's a fight I'm happy to pick.
Okay.
Right, I think for the first time ever, certainly those of us at ITV are confident that we're appropriately tooled. We've got the diverse set of skills in-house, we've got the platforms, the technology, the data to get in the ring and face up, square up to those competitors. And we're starting to see some success of that because we've democratized the rollout of the self-service platform. We 1,500 self-service users, including a chain of tanning salons across Stockport, Liverpool and Manchester. I've got an inbound email from a gas fitter in Glasgow that wants to advertise on ITV through Planet V within a specific drive time of where his staff are able to get to in a day for a day's call out. These are advertisers that would never have run with us before. We ran 8 mattress in a box brands last year. right? Digitally native businesses that are now discovering the power of television, but doing it in a way that is consistent with how they've always done their business, using data and technology and the efficacies of programmatic to utilize TV to drive their brands even further and elevate them amongst their competitive set. Mattress in a box. What a category.
But well, thank you. So you would agree that data and technology is democratizing TV to a certain extent and enabling brands and marketeers to really discover the power of television for the first time, right? That may have historically been locked out. Andy, what's driving TV viewers at the moment to proactively search either free TV content, like you discussed, it's available on the Samsung platform, or low-cost streaming service? What's really behind that transition from SVOD into free TV?
I think ultimately it's choice. I think when people upgrade their TVs, they are no longer just beholden to that linear program that's happening at 9 o'clock on that channel. They suddenly have a huge amount of choice, and as a result of that, they're far more comfortable making the decision of what to watch when they want to watch it. I don't think that's ever going to go away now, so it's how do we complement that? I think the pressure, certainly in the UK, is on subscription services. We see typically around about 4 per household. That might well come down. I think we're in this really interesting space that the winners and losers haven't been decided yet. So a hot topic is obviously Netflix taking advertising, Amazon going into the free model. There are so many options there that what's encouraging to me is everyone's trying to explore it. So it's not all in subscription. It's not all in VOD. It's a bit of both. And the data that we've got is definitely showing that there's a combination. The big battle is making sure it's discoverable. Because when you turn that TV on and you're suddenly inundated with hundreds of apps and thousands of different hours of content, what do you go to first?
But that's not the only battle, is it, though? There's quality control. And again, to really belabor my metaphor, we don't want too many tomatoes in the fruit salad. And I think, while we democratize access and democratize distribution, we want to define our community. And I think, those of us in the broadcaster world are aligned that there are thresholds that need to be maintained. We all adhere to clear-cut standards for copy, right? And we also, we operate against a strict set of regulations regarding what content we can produce and distribute. Right, the scrutiny we have. So whilst I'm, all for democratization and choice, I do think we have to draw, we have to establish some swim lanes.
I think you draw the swim lane for advertisers, because they're the ones who need really premium environment to get their message across. My argument to counter Rhys is the viewer is now in control. So they are defining what they want to watch. If they decide to watch short form, cats on skateboards, as we always say, that's their choice. It's our responsibility to make sure the advertising goes against the right type of content. And I think that's the difference.
That's a really good point. But talking about advertisers in addressable TV and CTV environments, be it AVOD, SVOD, BVOD, Jen, I know you and I have discussed this before. The ad break experience has to replicate what's been available in traditional linear TV. If you're watching Coronation Street, like I do occasionally, the content will play and the ad break will appear seamlessly. You don't see the same ad back to back. You don't see the same category running back to back. Advertisers have controls and they know what's going to happen within that ad break. However, CTV ad breaks haven't really replicated that thus far, but I believe we've come a long way in the last 12 months in regards to giving those advertisers controls to try and replicate that ad break experience. Where are we on that journey? I mean, advertisers can manage frequency now, right, in CTV?
Yeah, so they can manage frequency. I think the important thing is to make sure that you're working with the right technology. The right technology that allows you to have those controls. I guess you've got controls from the advertiser side, but you've also got controls from utilizing technology. And I think probably what's been challenging in the past is the legacy ad servers that were very much built for direct I/O. Weren't necessarily built to be able to handle, podded ad breaks. They also weren't able to handle, all the different demand sources as well. So, that also plays a part in some of the not so good user experiences with ad breaks. Something that, Magnite, we acquired SpringServe, which is an OTT platform, very much with that view of, being able to handle those the deduplication, the competitive separation, and the frequency capping, so that publishers can have that seamless ad break. And obviously for advertisers, they get to have their heads around.
Okay, so that's good to hear. So I think effectively from what we've learned today, it is possible, it's increasingly becoming possible to measure your TV ad buys, be it in broadcasters, linear, BVOD, or into the growing and AVOD and FAST ecosystem. The ad break controls do exist, but it's about working with the right ad servers to ensure that they've got the capability to manage pods and slots within streaming ad breaks. Right, before we wrap up, I just want to get each of your views on what you would recommend to an advertiser in a room today or their agencies looking to increase their ad spend in addressable TV environments. Andy, what area would you say they really need to drill into and understand from the vendor that they're about to sign a big IO with or target in the form of a private marketplace? What should they really understand about the partners they're going to work with?
We need to adhere to the same standards as broadcast. So quite often the conversations we have is, if you, as an AVOD partner, if you could give reassurance over quality content at decent scale, at a good price that's measurable, you've got a very good chance of getting on plan. I think the secret sauce that we do is just back it up with measurement and insight. So using all that ACR data to give them insight of the audiences they reached, but crucially the audiences they didn't reach as well. So we often talk about how do we complement the linear buy. There is nothing better at getting quick reach through linear. But where we add value is filling in the gaps that linear can no longer deliver through linear or broadcast. So, but it's crucially it's using the data to back that up rather than just saying trust us.
Thank you. Jen?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to have to agree with you, Andy. I think, for buyers that are looking to spend more, it's really being able to sort of demonstrate that incremental reach, being able to target the users that they haven't been able to target on linear, and just really doing that to prove that CTV, does work and is effective for your campaigns.
Okay, perfect. Rhys?
Agree with both those points, and would add to that supply chain transparency. How much of your revenue is going on working media?
Yeah, no, that's really good. And I've got one very last question. I know you look at me, Ben Phillips. One word that describes the CTV advertising ecosystem in 2022. Rhys, I'm going to start with you this time.
Nascent.
Jen?
Exciting.
I was going to say maturing.
And I would say growing. Thank you very much for joining us today. Thank you, panelists. Great conversation as always.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Paul, and thank you to our panelists. I could listen to you guys talk all day. That was fantastic. Really appreciate it.